My name is Mike Tabor. Today we're just going to be talking about Windows 10 and Keystroke Point of Sale. I'm going to go ahead and go through the slideshow here, and then we'll open this up for more discussion than demonstration. I'll go ahead and mute the crowd right now. If you have any quick questions, you can use the chat button below, and we'll get started. Again, this is Keystroke Live, and today we're going to talk about the Windows 10 and Keystroke Point of Sale. As always, we do our Keystroke Live every Wednesday at 10 o'clock, and here we are. So I just put together a couple of bullet points I wanted to kind of share. Number one is Keystroke version 8 runs just fine on Windows 10. Windows 10 with people that are on Keystroke version 7.15 might require you to reinstall programs or services. We've just run into that recently, and it seems that the Windows 10 will uninstall some services or actually not register them correctly as an administrator. So most people that are on Keystroke version 8 don't seem to be having any problems. Really very few problems with people that are on Keystroke version 7.15. But if you're using a program that's something like KeyPay or Keymail that use some higher level encryption, you might need to rerun the setup programs for those. I also mentioned that our version 8 setup.exe and the setup.ws.exe programs do automatically install the F1 help files. You are prompted to answer yes if you want to do that. That's just a requirement to make sure you actually acknowledge that you want that done. It does happen in the middle of the installation or during the setup WS process. So if you're ever on Windows 10 and you can't get F1 help, just rerun setup WS or reinstall the program if needed. Troubleshooting, we just kind of threw together some bullet points just from the last couple weeks. A lot of people have been updated automatically to Windows 10, and we're finding out that there is a setting in Windows 10 that resets the default Windows printer to the last printer you installed or the last printer you used. So you have to kind of keep an eye on that. You can go Google these different tricks on how to turn off that function. I stumbled across the function on Windows Update. When you go in there under Advanced Settings, you can see that there's a setting that says update all the machines on my network or all of my devices over the internet. So you could actually update a home computer from your work computer if you have that turned on. It is turned off by default, but you never know what can get turned on by ourselves by accident or by our customers. There's a kind of a known process that once you convert to Windows 10, you do have 30 days to revert back to, let's say, Windows 7 or Windows 8.1. But you might find out that that is not the case. It has to do with your oldest restore point. And 30 days of restore points are not usually held by Windows unless you have a large amount of hard disk space used. So as your Windows 10 continually reboots, you throw away old restore points and bring on new restore points. Or if you install a lot of drivers, it throws away old restore points and brings in new ones. So if a customer of yours calls you within, let's say, 7 to 10 days and say, oh, I forgot to tell you I'm on Windows 10, and they may have lost the opportunity to go back to Windows 7 or Windows 8.1. Some of the good news. Windows 10 already has built-in support for .NET 4.5 and above. That is a requirement for version 8 for Keymail and KeyPay. KeyPay actually requires a slightly higher level. I think it's version .NET 4.52, and that is installed by default and updated automatically. You really should not be considering using any older operating systems than Windows 7 with Keystroke because of the credit card industry. On this page here, and you're welcome to write this down or you can look at it on the Yahoo site later, there's some different recommendations. Microsoft's recommendation, if you want to turn off the automatic feature for updating, you can go to this KB number 308-0351, and pretty much they tell you on how to go in and create a registry entry that will disable the automatic updates. There is a program out there we've run across called the GWX Control Panel. I think I pulled that up here in Google. I'm going to show that to us. There's a lot of different places, but it turns out it looks like it's created by this company called UltimateOutsider.com. And even if you go to some of these other sites like CNET down here, a lot of people go there to get so forth. It takes you back to this GWX control panel. Kind of a silly looking page, but it talks about how you can go in there and control the behavior of your Windows update. But us as Keystroke resellers, we might be already past the opportunity when our customer calls and says, hey, I've updated to Windows 10, I've got some issues. Normally there really aren't too many issues. The only thing we're seeing on this end is things like some specialty printers, let's call them like Godex or Eltron Zebra label printers. People call and say it shows an unspecified device in control panel. We tell them to go Google Windows 10 and whatever it is, Zebra 2824 printer, and you'll immediately find a driver that's available for you. You can download it and it installs. Nobody's ever called us back. Nobody's ever called and said, I can't get this installed. You just send them on their way, and they can usually get it done. All your Windows printers all come up correctly, usually the same names, same sharing, everything's all fine. Keep in mind of what I mentioned before, sometimes your default Windows printer might be the last one that you installed, and that's easy to change, so don't be afraid of that. There's a couple other blogs. I put this down. We found one that talks about how to remove the whole, the little window down in the bottom, the little white window that keeps asking you every day. And this is kind of the trick to that window. Every so often it'll come up with two options: update now or update later. Those are really not the two options. The third option is just to click the X to close that, and it won't do either. It won't update now, nor will it update later. If you select update later, you will get updated within 2 to 3 days. You can't really back out of that once you say update later. Last thing before we just bring this up to more of an open discussion topic today is you don't be afraid of the Windows update. Our support staff has been using Windows 10 on all of our desks. Everybody here has a Windows 10 machine and usually another machine, usually Windows 7 or Windows 8. Everybody has one. We have 6 Windows 10 machines in this office. They all run fine. We run our KeyPay on our Windows 10 machine. We run .NET ePay for VANIV on the same Windows 10 machine because we use multiple accounts. We do a lot of testing, so we send everything through that one machine. Never really have a problem with it. After an update, and it does do its own updates when you do a reboot, sometimes you might not see the map network drive until you double click it, and then everything's fine after that. But more importantly, be prepared because your customers will be calling you or calling us, and you don't want to be seeing them on, oh, I'm on version 7.00 and now I'm on Windows 10. We have people call us with they're on version 6.0, 6.1, version 7.0, 7.15. They've been using Keystroke for 7 years on a Windows 7 machine. Now they're on Windows 10, and they're going to ask us for free support. So you just make sure you get your customers up to speed. They're going to be needing to go there anyhow. If they've got some old boxes, Windows Enterprise, let's say Windows 7 Enterprise, does not automatically update, nor does Windows Embedded 7. I think it's called 2000 and no, what is that? Yeah, Windows Embedded 7 does not automatically update. But anybody else will be pretty much forced to update to Windows 10 in the future. Don't be afraid of it. It's a great operating system. A lot of us think it kind of runs faster and better. So I'd like to open up for discussion. Any questions and answers? This is what this is more about today, about talking about your experiences or your frustrations with Windows 10. And we'll open up. I'll unmute everyone at this time, and feel free to ask me some questions or any questions you might have about Windows 10, and we'll go from there.
Mike, did I understand you to say that earlier versions of keystrokes don't run on 10?
Not necessarily. I mean, I can install pretty much everything from 6.3.0 to version 8 of Keystroke on my Windows 10 machine, but your end users may not have the technical skills that I have to do that. Windows 7.1.5, you may have to reinstall the program. If you find out I don't have the program because I don't have a software maintenance plan, I can't use the update installer in Windows 7.1.5, they're going to call us and need support to get that from us. But it works fine if you're able to reinstall Keystroke. What I mentioned in the previous note was that some of the services like KeyPay that need to elevate privileges normally need to be reinstalled. So you need to be able to uninstall KeyPay as a service and reinstall it. But again, that's even old school because you want to move towards NetEPay with the new devices coming out. Any other questions? I see a note down here on the chat about customer may call, my printer stopped working. The dealer should ask if they've updated Windows 10. The end user may not offer that up until after it's happened. So that's always a good question. We're finding this out later when they say my printer stopped working. We say, well, when did it last work? And they said yesterday. And then you go in and you start looking around, and then they may disclose it or may not if they actually updated Windows 10. A lot of people just don't know the difference. Windows 7 and Windows 10 are very similar. There's kind of a new little look. I recognize the differences immediately. You can always go to Control Panel. In Windows 10, to get around, you can just click on the Start menu in the bottom and type in the word Control Panel to get there. You can create a desktop shortcut or a Start menu shortcut or a taskbar shortcut to it. That's a great way to get around. So you can go look at devices and printers, add remove programs, or now called programs and features. Or you can go in and look at what kind of operating system is. Go to System. Any other questions?
You know, Mike, a fast way that I've found is to find out the version is when you click on Start and you go in that little blank line and just type in WinVer.
WinVer, okay, that's great. That's good. And then it usually tells you a number, but does it also say Windows 10? Sometimes it might be a number like 8.00 point something. Then you have to decipher that. That's always good to know. I might just try something like that.
If I have a customer that's on the phone that doesn't know, then that's a real fast way, so they don't have to navigate through several windows.
Right, and Randy, I just typed it in here from a run command. By the way, you can also use the Windows key and the letter R to get the run option in Windows 10. And you can type in, like you just mentioned, WinVer, and I'm on Windows 7 Professional on this machine. You can also use the Windows key, the letter R, and type in shell : startup. That'll actually take you to your startup folder to see if anything's in there, or if you want to look at your keystroke shortcut. That's shell.
Say that again.
It's shell, SHELL : startup. I don't know if I can share this window. I might be able to. Here's the run command I'm speaking about. Shell : startup. When I click OK, then it brings me to this my startup folder. And notice it's a nice long name like my username. This is a KS Live username, app data roaming, Microsoft Windows Start Menu Program Startup. It's a little bit different, I think. It's like local apps roaming Microsoft Windows Startup. So shell :startup will take you there. Great. Any other questions I can answer? Or any experiences? If you've had success stories or horror stories, this would be a good time to share it.
Or dealer tips that some of us, because our customers, they never tell us, when there's a problem, what's really happened. We've got to discover it.
Yeah, you usually have to ask more questions than, besides when did it start happening and so forth, or if you have any superstition. I like the idea of WinVer, shell startup. It's uninstall and reinstall the KeyPay module, things like that. So, and we found out, like I mentioned earlier in this conversation, that the NetEPay runs fine. We've been running it on one Windows 10 machine for 4 months now, ever since the VX805 came out. And everybody here that plugs in a VX805 sends a request over there. It's fast, it's quick, it works. We never have to restart it, none of that.
Okay, you were so kind to call me and tell me that the 250 printer or the 250 credit card reader is working great, and I appreciated that. You might mention that.
Yeah, for those that didn't see the email that came out, right, 8.00 Build 32 supports the Ingenico ISC 250 with RBA 17. Works great. You can get devices from JR's POS Depot. The caveat right now is that we're waiting for Vantiv and DataCap to come up with a option on how to update devices in the field. For most of us with resellers, we have devices in the field. We don't want to be buying new devices. We want to figure out how to make those work, and we're still holding our breath for that one, though. But you
Mike,
can always... Yes.
I just ordered 4 from JR's, and I noticed that on the paperwork that I got, and I ordered the Mercury package, that it came as 17.4.
17.04 maybe, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. I think the one we got some months ago was 17.02. I think they call it B3. And these are all, I think the B3 makes it contactless, meaning you can use Apple Pay and Android Pay with these devices, chip cards, swipe cards, gift cards, all the above. And so I'll double check the 17.04 because I'm sure there's a way to know what they're shipping today.
Mike, is there any news on the EMV debit?
No, that's
with Vantiv.
No, with Vantiv, and Mary, thanks for asking. That's if you take a EMV debit chip card and put it in the slot, it goes out as I was told yesterday, it goes out as a debit with signature, not a debit with PIN. I thought it went through as a credit with signature. That's still an open issue with Vantiv, and it's the same issue does apply with the Ingenico. So the VX805 and the Ingenico 250 have the same thing. I think they're getting qualified, certified, or whatever with the chip card debit cards. And you can call Molly at Vantiv and double check with her if they have any timeline for that or what the release might be for that. And you might even discuss if there's any difference in the rates they're getting charged, because I'm sure as a consumer or a merchant, they're worried about getting charged a higher rate. So you can discuss that with Molly.
Well, the official answer I got when I asked that question last week was you're getting a better rate because you're sending it through EMV already, and it would be comparable. And they went through this whole long thing, about rates, but basically they're saying they'd like to get it done sooner, but fourth quarter is their goal.
Okay, well that's news to me. I know David Hunsinger is kind of keeping his finger on that pulse. So they're getting comparable rates to a swiped debit with PIN versus a chip card that goes through as a debit with signature, I guess is what I'm kind of hearing.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, that's good because I think the merchant is kind of worried they're getting charged a much higher rate. And I think it's for people that sell big ticket items. They're worried about getting a much higher rate on a big ticket item than they were before, and I don't think that's the case right now. Well, great. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up and just let you know that next week Lynn is going to be talking about Windows Help. And also, besides just the Windows F1 help, she's going to be talking about all the documents in the doc folder. We also ship all of the PDFs, the install instructions in the doc, third-party add-ons or third-party drivers folder. So if you need to get anything and you don't have internet, you can always go into your doc folder. There's a lot of information on help in there. And for that, we'll go ahead and wrap things up if there's no more questions. Great. Well, thank you for your time, and have a good day. I'll go ahead and end the meeting.